At 1:43 in the morning, Daniel Reeves was driving home when his GPS told him to take an exit that didn't exist. He had driven this highway hundreds of times. There were no towns nearby, no construction, no temporary detours. And according to every map he could find, the next exit was 12 miles away. But the sign was there. Exit 214. Daniel slowed down. The sign looked old. The numbers were faded, and one of the bulbs above it flickered on and off. What bothered him most was the fact that he had never seen it before. His GPS displayed the same thing. Exit 214, 1 mile. Daniel decided to keep driving. A minute later, another sign appeared. Exit 214, 500 feet. Then the GPS said something strange. Turn right. Daniel looked ahead. There was an actual off-ramp. He took it. The moment his car left the highway, the GPS lost its signal. The road became completely dark. There were no streetlights, no houses, no businesses. Just a narrow road surrounded by trees. Daniel expected the road to reconnect with another highway. Instead, it continued straight. For nearly 10 minutes. Then he saw a gas station. It looked abandoned. The sign above it read, Mercer's. Daniel pulled in. There were no other cars. The building was dark, except for a single light behind the counter. He stepped inside. An old bell rang above the door. A man sitting behind the counter looked up. He didn't seem surprised to see Daniel. Instead, he asked one question. You came through the exit, didn't you? Daniel froze. He asked what exit the man was talking about. The man stared at him for several seconds. Then he pointed toward the window. Exit 214. Daniel asked where they were. The man didn't answer. He simply said, You shouldn't have taken it. Daniel walked back outside. His car was still there. But something had changed. The highway was gone. There was no road behind the gas station. No entrance ramp. No highway lights. Just trees. Daniel got back into his car and started driving. He followed the road for another 15 minutes. Eventually, he saw another sign. Exit 214. Daniel stopped. The same sign. The same faded numbers. He turned around. The road behind him looked different. The trees were closer, and there was no sign of the gas station. He drove forward. The same thing happened again. Another 15 minutes. Another exit 214 sign. Daniel realized he wasn't driving toward an exit. He was driving in a loop. At 3:17 in the morning, his phone finally received a signal. He immediately called 911. He told the dispatcher where he was. The dispatcher asked him to repeat the location. Daniel gave the highway number. There was a long silence. Then the dispatcher said something that made Daniel's blood run cold. Sir, that highway doesn't have an exit 214. Daniel looked through the windshield. A sign stood in the distance. Exit 214. But this time, underneath the number, there was another line of text. Daniel had never noticed it before. It said, Last exit. He kept driving, and at 3:41 in the morning, his car suddenly appeared on the original highway. He was driving in the same direction he had been before. His GPS immediately came back online. There was no record of exit 214. No route history. No location history. Nothing. Daniel eventually made it home. But when he checked his car the next morning, he found something strange. Mud covered the tires, and stuck underneath the driver's side windshield wiper was an old paper receipt. It was from Mercer's gas station. The date printed on it was November 18, 1987. Daniel had taken the exit in 2026. He searched for Mercer's. He found nothing. No business. No abandoned station. No road. No exit 214. But months later, investigators found an old highway construction document buried in a county archive. The document showed that an exit 214 had once been planned. Construction had begun in 1987, but the project was abandoned after a worker disappeared. The exit was never completed, at least officially. The strange part was the final note on the document. It had been handwritten in the margin. 4 words: "Do not reopen the road." Daniel never drove that highway again, but people still report seeing the same sign, usually late at night, usually when they're alone. And according to those reports, the sign always appears after 1:40 in the morning. Exit 214. 1 mile. The question isn't whether the exit exists. The question is where it takes you. Because some drivers claim they took it and never found their way back. Because some drivers claim they took it and never found their way back.